Hi, I'm Marcia White, Chair of the Ogden City Council. Welcome to our first ever virtual town hall meeting. Please leave your questions and remarks in the comment section below. We will provide written responses during the presentation as well as address a few of the questions at the end of the presentation. We will address any questions that we don't get to during the meeting as soon as we have the chance. You can also provide your feedback during the public hearing scheduled for tonight at 6 p.m. So come on down. And on August 8th, also at 6 p.m. As you may already know, we are in the midst of working through our greatest responsibility as a city council, adopting the city's $166 million budget. Every year, the budget approval process gives us an opportunity to carefully consider input from residents as we evaluate existing services, determine how best to allocate funding, and set priorities for the coming year. Our administrators have done an outstanding job throughout the years of stretching limited dollars while still providing exceptional service. Even though Ogden has grown a lot in the last 20 years, the number of employees per resident has not. For example, our fire department is operating with 14 fewer personnel than in 1998, and our police department is well below the national average of 2 police officers per 1,000 people. That doesn't even take into account the increased need for public safety measures that coincide with the growing number of people visiting Ogden on a daily basis and those that are coming in to visit us as a destination point. Along with finding ways to operate with fewer employees, our department managers have implemented numerous other cost-saving measures. Our public service department saves about $286,000 each year by providing in-house engineering services, has significantly cut the cost of concrete replacement by utilizing methods such as saw cutting, and have lowered water production costs with the new water treatment plant and remote meter reading. Our Human Resources Department have cut training costs by utilizing online training programs, and facilities have put several energy-saving measures in place. Our fire department saves almost $350,000 each year in additional ambulance staffing costs by filling those positions with existing staff, and our police department is saving money by implementing online citizen crime reporting and reducing travel costs by providing training in-house. Additionally, both police and fire reduce costs by partnering with other local agencies to provide mutual aid. City staff is also hard at work building revenue sources to take some of the burden off of taxpayers, including an increased focus on grant-seeking efforts. Ogden Business Development has brought retail into Ogden, such as Walmart, Winco, PetSmart, Ross, and Wayfair. And the BDO has experienced 1 million square feet of new construction. City staff is seeking out innovative solutions to make the airport profitable, including increasing airport parking revenues and incentivizing additional commercial air service. Despite these efforts, revenue has not kept up with inflation. We have all personally experienced the effect of inflation. We know that $20 does not go as far as it did 20 years ago. This is even a bigger issue for cities because of Utah's tax structure. Property tax is designed for revenue neutrality, meaning that the revenue the city receives stay the same every year. For example, if Ogden generated $10 million in property taxes last year, the State Commission would use their models to adjust the rate to generate $10 million for this year. As values increase, the property tax proportionately decreases. So we aren't able to capture the additional revenue associated with inflation. Because property taxes are fixed and don't account for inflation, and because Ogden went without increases for more than 3 decades until last year, we are 3 decades behind in adjusting for inflation. We cannot praise our administration enough for the remarkable efforts to successfully operate without an increase for so long. However, it is just not sustainable. There are essential services that require funding that just isn't there. For example, in fiscal year 18 alone, there is a $400,000 shortfall in facilities costs. We're nearly $300,000 short in funding a fully staffed police force and thousands short in funding trails, parks, fire, and planning. These costs can be covered by maintaining the existing tax rate for FY18, which would generate an additional $808,000 in tax revenue, or 7% more revenue than if we accept the State Tax Commission's lower rate, as we have done for years. We appreciate your feedback as we consider the important decisions of whether to maintain the current tax rate. We would also like you to consider along with us where future funding should go. We have outlined several legislative priorities that are funded in the tentative budget and that we will continue to focus on in our legislative work groups through this year. There is so much more to the budget than the numbers. It is truly a policy-setting document. We would like to hear your insights on our legislative priorities as much as we would like to hear your opinion on the property tax. I'll now open it up for questions. Any questions that aren't addressed in the video will be answered in the comments section below or on our other social networks using hashtag Ogden Budget. The first question is, Ogden's tax rate is already among the highest in the state. How can you possibly justify a property tax increase? It is true that our property tax is the third highest in the state, right behind Salt Lake City and West Valley. Part of the problem is that the average home value in Ogden is significantly lower than it is in the surrounding cities in the state. For instance, our average home price is $167,000. And then in other cities like Centerville, for instance, it's $261,000. So the problem comes in is that we have the same amount, or it takes the same amount of cost to provide the essential services, for instance, police and fire and water, to that $167,000 home as it does to this $261,000 home. So the tax rate is higher to help adjust for that difference. Additionally, because Ogden is a larger city, we have more expenses and amenities than our smaller neighbors. All right, I think we have another question. This is a great question. How much of my property tax bill goes to Ogden? Where does all the money go? Well, that's a great question because Ogden City only collects about 18% of the total property tax bill. Ogden School District gets about half of that, and then Weber County collects about the same proportion as Ogden City. So there's a remaining 11% that's dispersed among things like the Central Weber Sewer, Weber Basin Water, Weber Area Dispatch 911, Mosquito Abatement, and other entities. Do we have another question? Excellent, thank you. This one says, how much would the proposed property tax increase affect my tax bill? So it's important to remember that the 7% increase is not a 7% increase on your total bill. It's not even a 7% tax increase to the Ogden City's portion of your bill. It is a 7% increase in the revenue generated by that certified tax rate to maintain the current rate. So for example, on a $167,000 home, that equates to less than $20 a year. Keep in mind, too, a decision hasn't even been made yet whether to maintain the current proposed rate. We can adopt the State Tax Commission's lower rate or any rate in between. We have a form on our website that you can use to calculate the impact of the proposal. If you want, it's a great form. Visit ogdencity.com/budget process, and you can fill in all your information and you can find out exactly what that will do. Do we have any more questions? All right. Yes, all right. Keep them coming. This question, most of the key changes highlighted in the budget involve salary increases. Didn't you do this last year? Our employers are the most valuable resource and are responsible for performing essential services, including public safety. Employee compensation accounts for almost 85% of the total budget. So it is important to consider any of this and all of this in our total budget. The most significant element of last year's budget was the implementation of the step pay plans for police and fire employees to better enable these crucial departments to recruit and retain employees in a really competitive market. It also provided for merit increases for the general city employees, but it didn't address the issues that general city employees went several years without any increases. So retaining good employees saves the city money in the long run. So it's important to take care of all of our employees, whether they are police or firefighters or water or garbage or recorders or planning, because they are essential to how our city functions and for moving us into the future. Is there any more questions? All right, keep them coming. Is there funding in the budget for sidewalks? How do I request that a sidewalk get repaired? Yes, there is money in the budget allocated for both roadways and sidewalks. They have created a list to prioritize the greatest areas in need, and they are working through those as fast as they can. Ogden also offers a 50-50 concrete replacement program, which offers residents an immediate and an economical way to replace broken or repair their broken sidewalks or curbs or gutters located in front of their property. You can also get more information at ogdencity.com or contact our Public Services Department to see if you can get more information about that 50-50 program, or even where maybe your sidewalks are listed in that prioritization. Any more questions? All right, we have one more question. So this question is a great question. And it is, I'm sure I can find $800,000 somewhere in the budget that isn't being well spent. Why can't you do what the rest of us have to do when times get tough and tighten your belt? So the budget is a very lengthy process. We've had staff and ourselves going through the budget for the last couple of months, line item by line item, looking for ways to cut where we can. And we would definitely encourage you to go through that line item budget if you wanted to and had the desire to, and check it out and see where you might be able to find those cuts. And if you want to do that, go to ogdencity.com/budget process, and you'll find the full line item budget right there. It's really incredibly important to know that we have looked at this and that it's a very tight budget, and our employees have been stretching those dollars as best they can. And we've been making adjustments to the budget during that time since we started looking at it until now, and we'll continue to do so until August 8th. So we really rely on your feedback to make those difficult decisions. It's important to realize that at some point in time, you have to fund the essential services, and they can't be put off any longer. For example, I'm going to use this example of you may choose not to get your car serviced during a time period, and then what happens is that something happens to your car, and you will eventually have to get it fixed, and it will eventually catch up to you, but it may be worse than what it was if you had just maintained it along the way. So in the case of the city, the largest shortfalls are police and facilities. So kicking the can further down the road in these areas may result in even greater costs. So we're getting about to the end of our virtual live town hall meeting, and we'll spend the remainder of the town hall meeting responding to your questions in the comment section below. I have my colleagues here with me, and we will work through the questions as they come until the time that we have to leave. So if you have other questions, please follow us on our other social networks and using what? #OgdenBudget. Any questions we don't get to tonight, you'll receive a response as soon as possible. You can also provide your feedback during the public hearings scheduled for 6 p.m. tonight. Come on down, you only have a few minutes now. And on August 8th, also at 6 p.m. We will be making that final decision on August 8th, so make sure that if you have questions or concerns or issues or any feedback, to contact us by phone or by email. Thank you for participating in our first ever virtual town hall meeting, and we look forward to working with you to finalize the budget.